Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Apologize for the delay. Had a little bit of some technical difficulty for a second. And I got it all straightened out. We're going to go ahead and get this thing started, man. We got the Knicks draft special tonight. We're going to break down everything New York Knicks. We're going to talk about front office a little bit. We'll talk about the salary cap a little bit. We're going to go ahead and get into it. And then we'll talk about the draft, of course, ladies and gentlemen. All right, I got my man Kevin in the chat, formerly known as Steve Mills. We're going to go ahead and break this thing down, man. Let's get popping. That's the G. And I thank you guys for being here with me on a Friday night, ladies and gentlemen, as we talk New York Knicks. Not a lot of news to talk about with the New York Knicks, obviously, because everything is shut down. The nation basically is shut down. So there's not a lot to talk about, but we're going to find some stuff to talk about. Because if the season does end today, then guess what? It's the off season. And when the off season comes, there's a lot to talk about, especially the draft. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get into it a little bit, you know, and listen, everything that I have on my big board is not going to be what you have on your big board. I've broken down some players, but I haven't gotten into real depth. You know what I'm saying? So this is just the kickoff. Then after this is going to be video after video after video of players, and I'm going to break down who I really like. Can't do it all tonight because that'll take forever. But we're going to get into it. So let me say what's up to my man Kev and get Kev up here on the board talking to you guys, man. And then we're going to go ahead and get into the show. You know what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and do this thing. Kevin, what's going on, man?
Hey, man, everything's everything. I hope you and your family safe. I hope everybody in the chat themselves and their family is safe, man. Working from home. Well, I finally got the thing to work from home now. So
okay, all right. Yeah, man. I mean, I can only speak for myself. I'm okay. I'm feeling good. You know, there's a cough every now and then, but it's not that cough. It's just, you know, allergies and all those type of things. Maryland is a big state when it comes. You know, it's bad when it comes to allergies. Yeah, you can probably hear me being a little bit stuffed up now.
Absolutely. Well, here now in New Jersey, I don't know if you heard, they put the lockdown on us. So
yeah,
the whole state is pretty much is quarantined. So unless it's if your business is not essential, well, supermarkets, restaurants, you know, things like that, and doctors' offices, they're all open. Everything else is shut down completely.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. The same thing is coming here. You know, we're just about to get into that area. But hey, Let's talk Knicks, man. Let's talk about the draft. I don't want to bog us too much. You know, we hear it all day long. So let's just talk about the Knicks and the draft.
Absolutely,
right? Because you know, we don't know what's going to happen with the remainder of the season. So we might as well break down the draft and look at, you know, this is not just the draft special. We're going to be looking at the entire state of the New York Knicks. You know what I'm saying? The entire state of the team. We're going to be looking at the entire state of the team and everything, you know, everything that's going on with the team, from looking at the front office and who we need to get in the front office and or not who we need to get in the front office, but who we have in the front office already, what Leon Rose is going to do. We're going to really take a good look at the salary cap. We'll look at some of the team's needs, and then we'll get into the draft. Okay. All right, so there's a lot to go over. So I want to really get into it. I'm already running late. You know what I mean? So yeah, I know,
hey,
man.
Your show, man.
Yeah, you know. So this was going to happen, Kev. At the moment, we'll have a discussion, but, you know, you won't be on the screen. It'll just be me and you talking. You know, I'll go over some things, and then we'll talk about it, all right?
No
okay,
problem.
So you're still going to be live. You just won't be on the screen, because on the screen, I got some other things on the screen.
Okay.
All right. So, first and foremost, let's just talk about the front office, because before anything happens, I think we really gotta take care of this front office situation. I think that's key, right? Let me get my hat the way I want it. There we go. I think that's key. It's taking care of this front office.
Right.
Because we gotta have the right personnel in place in order to make drafting decisions, as well as to make free agency decisions when that time comes. Now, the one thing I will say about Leon Rose, him being an agent, he's probably broken down some of the players that are in the draft, right? Because believe it or not, agents got to do that kind of stuff so that they can figure out who they want to go after, right? Because they've got to determine, okay, who's going to be successful in the NBA.
Correct. Right? I agree with that premise. I like this more than what we've seen in the past maybe 2 years of who Dolan was putting in charge of doing that. We thought that Phil Jackson was gonna fill that role, and that obviously was a huge mistake. So what does he do? He moves up Steve Mills, who, I had the belief that he will probably make the right decisions as far as free agents are concerned. And as far as the talent, the rookies coming in, I agree with, if I had to do it again, I think I would still pick Knox. Before that, Ntilikina was the pick. I could live with that. Of course, everybody wanted Donovan Mitchell. Everyone was screaming at us of why we didn't pick, either Dennis Smith Jr. or the guy Monk from Charlotte, or even Mitchell. I don't know how people could say Mitchell, because we didn't think Mitchell was going to be what he is. So
right. So well, the thing is, the thing about Steve Mills, I don't know I don't know why Dolan maybe thought that Steve Mills was going to be able to do something different, but hey, he did. So now we got Leon Rose, and Leon Rose has a front office that he's got to deal with. Let's take a look at the current front office, though.
Okay.
All right, that's what I want to look at now. Who the current front office is, and the just the executive team. All right.
Well,
just the executive team. Yeah. So right now, we have the executive chairman and CEO of the Madison Square Garden Company is James Dolan.
Mm-hmm.
All right, he's the executive chairman, CEO of the Madison Square Garden Company. Now we have the president of the Madison Square Garden Company. His name is Andrew Lustgarten. Okay, many people don't know this. All right, but he has just recently been named the president of the Madison Square Garden Company. Now, this does not mean that he is over the New York Knicks, all right? But he does have some input. This is who he is.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, he has some input. So hopefully he's there maybe he'll be there to talk with Dolan about some of the decisions that he might make. Okay. He is responsible for driving both internal and external opportunities for growth. He oversees the Madison Square Garden's entertainment and sports bookings and productions businesses. I'm gonna say that again.
So Sam, let me ask you this question.
Let me just say that one more time. All right.
Okay.
He oversees MSG's entertainment and sports bookings and productions businesses, as well as all aspects of the business operations of the company's professional sports franchises. In addition, Mr. Lustgarten drives the company's corporate development activities, including strategic opportunities, initiatives, and partnerships, as well as the company's plan to build state-of-the-art venues called MSG Sphere in Las Vegas and London. So that doesn't have anything to do with the Knicks. But the key words in there is that he helps to oversee all aspects of the business operation of the company's professional sports franchises. So he's going to be in Dolan's ear with some stuff. All right. And then, of course, you got Leon Rose, who is the president of the New York Knicks. Then you got Scott Perry, who is the general manager. And then you got Mike Miller, who is the interim head coach. This makes up the executive team for the New York Knicks.
Okay.
That makes up the executive team. Now, a lot of people ask questions about why Leon Rose, why was it going to take so long for Leon Rose to make decisions about the executive team? Who was going to be his front office? Some people were like, why does he have to come in? He's seen it from afar. He's seen everything that's gone down with the New York Knicks. Why does he have to sit back in the sidelines so that he can evaluate the team? This is why. I'm going to show you why. All right, this is the reason why. When you look at the basketball operations, look at the amount of employees who run the basketball operations. This is part of the front office, ladies and gentlemen. You got Allen Houston, who was a special assistant to the general manager. The general manager is Scott Perry. And then you got Gerald Matkins, who was an assistant to the general manager. Now, just take a look at that. You have a special assistant to the general manager, and then you have the assistant general manager. Whatever that means. You got
but Allen Houston also had Houston had another hat of running our G League as well, right?
Right, exactly. So, but he's called the special assistant to the general manager. That's his official title. Right. Okay. And then you got you got Jamie Matthews, who's the vice president of basketball operations. Then you have Craig Robinson, who's the vice president of player development and minor league operations.
Right.
Okay. And then you got a bunch of other guys. You got someone who was the director of basketball strategy, director of security, director of sports technology, director of scouting and administration, director of scouting central. Okay. Director of data analytics and pro scout. Director of operations at the MSG Training Center, director of player personnel, the manager of basketball operations. Okay, so you have a president of basketball operations. You have a vice president of basketball operations. Now you got a manager of basketball operations. That's Brett Fuller. Managers, security manager. Right? You have the manager of scouting and video administration, manager of building operations, the player relations manager, basketball operations analyst. You have the building coordinator, the coordinator of the building operations, executive administrative assistants, executive protection chauffeur, the associate network engineer. I mean, you have.
That's a lot of people.
You got a lot of people. A lot of people, right? There's a lot of people there that you have to figure out, okay, do I need this many people? Right? Do I need this many people? And who's going to do what? Because there's some positions there that it seems like they overlap.
Right. Now, let me ask you this question. Does Leon Rose have that authority to shorten that management team?
I don't know. It's a good question. Good question.
Yeah. Because all those people you name, that comes to the whole cliche of too many hands in the cookie pot, or too many cooks, spoiling the pot.
Too many chiefs.
Right. Too many chiefs, not enough Indians. Absolutely.
Too many chiefs, man. Yeah. A lot of people and a lot of stuff that has to, and you got to figure out who does what, when, where, and why.
Yeah, that's a lot of people that you just named.
I mean,
it's like it's like you look at other organizations, and I haven't seen that many, that many hats in a organization like that. I mean, you think Mark Cuban runs his organization like that?
You know, it's hard to say, man. I don't know. But let's go further than that, right? So that's so that right there is the basketball operations. That's the front office for you. Okay,
right.
You know, that's how many people we have in the front office that he's got to figure out who's going to do what.
Right. Well,
right now let's take a look.
Okay, go ahead.
Now let's take a look at the basketball staff. All right, so obviously you have Mike Miller, who is the interim head coach.
Right? Well, I won't mind him staying.
Okay, all right. He's the interim head coach. Then you got assistants. You got Caleb Canales. You got Judd Buchler. You got Pat Sullivan, Royal Ivy, Keith Bogans. Those are the assistant coaches. You got advanced scouts, Matt Harding and Christopher Williams. You got basketball scouts, Frederick Cofield, John Hallis. You got an amateur scout, Makar and Daye. You got a video coordinator, Marcus Jones, assistant video coordinator, Scott King. Then you have an equipment manager, Mike Martinez. All of these people are important, believe it or not. You know, it may not seem like these guys are, you know, the most important guys out there, but they're all important. You know what I mean? They're all important. So
absolutely.
So Scott, so there's a big job ahead for you know, for Leon Rose. That's a big job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because not only does he have to you know, he's got to figure out the front office, and then the front office is going to have to go and you know figure out, okay, we got to get our coach. Once he figures out the front office, we got to get our coach. And then when he gets the coach has to figure out who's going to be all of these positions, the assistant coaches, the advanced scouts, you know, all of that stuff, you know, basketball scouts, you know, all of those things come into play, you know. So when you talk about, that was the one thing I thought about Fizdale. When you have someone who comes up from being an assistant coach to being a head coach, you now have to figure out, how do I not only lead basketball players on the floor, but how do I manage this entire thing called basketball? How do I manage everything? Because you're now in charge of all of that. All of these people, right? You've seen that Mike Miller was part of the executive team.
Yeah.
So that means all of those guys under the basketball staff, that's his responsibility.
Right.
And so the way that you organize all of those people, and everybody has a role, all of those staff members have a role, right?
Right.
A good coach says, this is your role. This is what we need you to do in order for our team to be successful. I don't know how well Mike Miller does that. I don't think Coach Fizdale could do that at all. Okay. So in these two fronts,
I'm in total agreement with you, you know, with that. And that was kind of evident. We would give Fizdale, you know, a small mulligan for what happened last year, but a very small one. After the first 5 or 6 games, I could tell it, and you even, you know, said that this was somewhat done, even when it was like 6 or 7 games into the season, because they just couldn't. There was no game plan. There really wasn't. Right. And I saw that up close when I went to the Philly game down at the Wells Fargo Center. I sat up close. I was like right behind the bench, and listening to the way Fizdale was coaching. He put it this way: if Miller was coaching that game, Miller would have won that game. That was like the first game against Philly. He would have won that game. I just knew that it wasn't, you know, that we weren't going to win. I mean, I was cheering. We were beating them the whole game, but Fizdale really didn't have any game plan for him.
Yeah. So I mean,
I agree with you on your premise that he really didn't manage well.
Yeah. So you know, just from where we are right now, you know, these are, and I know you guys came here to talk about the draft, but these are important when you talk about the draft.
I agree with you totally.
Yeah, it's important because when you talk about the front office and you talk about the coaching staff, they're going to play a part in who you draft, and then of course they're going to play a part in how that player develops when they get here. So these things are important.
Absolutely. We don't know who's going to be in the war room for the draft.
Exactly.
For the draft, we don't know.
Exactly. You got to know who's going to be in the war room. Leon Rose is going to be there. We don't know if Scott Perry's going to be there. We don't know if Allen Houston's going to be there. All of those advanced scouts, all of those people that we mentioned that were part of basketball operations and all of those things. We don't know, who's going to be there. And it's the reason that Leon Rose has to evaluate everybody so that he can say, okay, who's going to be my team that's going to draft players, sign free agents, and develop players.
Right. I think the most important of all that will be the development of these players. Because when you look at other organizations, maybe not Chicago, but you look at other organizations, their development seems to be working for them per se. And ours, I honestly, for this year, I think we took a step back.
Yeah. So looking at that, knowing that we've got some work to do in the front office and in the staffing situation and the coaches and all that stuff. We got some work to do.
Yeah. Right? Let me pose a question to you.
Yeah.
As far as Scott Perry, would you be satisfied with him? Because I'll give you my take. Would you be satisfied with him if he stayed on as general manager? Your gut feeling.
I'd be okay. Okay. I feel like I'm one who feels like the reason why the cap is the way it is not because of Steve Mills, it's because of Scott Perry.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
So
totally
I'd
agree.
be perfectly fine with Scott Perry sticking around as the general manager. Right? It's totally Leon agree. Rose's the thing is, does he understand how to run basketball operations? That's the big thing. Yeah. Right. And maybe Scott Perry can help him with some of that because he's been around. He's been in the business. He may not have the best track record, but he's been in the business. So when we're talking about just the structure of a team, he understands it. Are there people that's better? Probably so, because he doesn't have the greatest track record. But I'd be okay with it.
Yeah. Hey, Sam, put it this way. Would Scott Perry, as general manager, would he have given Tim Hardaway Jr. that contract?
I don't know. It's hard. I don't know. I don't think so. Yeah. But you can't say that because he gave Julius Randle one too, almost the same thing.
Yeah, but
Julius Randle's not. With that. I mean, he's not Tim Hardaway.
Steve Mills than him.
I mean, I don't know. He's not Tim Hardaway, but
No, not at all. But what I'm saying is, do you think that was more Steve Mills wanting to give Randall that contract than Scott Perry?
It's hard to say. I don't know, man.
It's hard to say, right? Yeah. See, the thing about it was, you want to try and justify Randall getting that contract after what you've seen from him in the past, but as Knicks fans, we're so sold on the moment because we didn't see Randall for 82 games. We only saw him for what we see in the highlights and from the 2 games a year when he played against us.
Right. So well, as fans at least. Yeah. Yeah. But so talking about, free agency, let's look at the Knicks free agency for 2020. Right? Because this goes into how you draft, believe it or not. Your salary cap goes into drafting because you've got to carve out money for that draft pick, and we'll look at that in a little bit. But free agents for 2020, these are the guys that are free agents for next year, for this summer. All right, Bobby Portis, there's a team option for Bobby Portis. All right, Bobby Portis makes like $15.4 million next year. That's what he would make. All right, so the Knicks have to decide whether or not they're going to pick up his option.
Okay, so it's a team option, not a player's option.
It's a team option, not a player's option. A team option.
Okay, no problem. Okay.
All right. Maurice Harkless, he's an unrestricted free agent going into next season.
Okay.
All right. Now the Knicks do have his bird rights. So if they somehow put together a super team and they wanted to go over the cap to sign Maurice Harkless, they could. All right. So they have his bird rights. Alonzo Trier, he's a restricted free agent. So as much as we were worried about he may go to another team, if the Knicks wanted to, they could match whatever offer came to Alonzo Trier. Same thing.
So. That's what I kept telling people, that I think he's restricted. And they were like, no, he's unrestricted. So he is restricted.
He is. I thought he was unrestricted too. But he is restricted. And then Damian Dotson, he's a restricted free agent.
He's restricted as well. Okay.
He's restricted as well. Right. So with Damian Dotson, same thing. You can sign him no matter what offer he gets. Kadeem Allen, he's restricted. And then Isaiah Hicks is still on the books. He's a restricted free agent as well.
Oh, I forgot about
Believe it or not.
Jeez.
Okay. Believe it or not. He's a restricted free agent as well.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Okay. And then, excuse me. Now, there's another part to this free agency thing.
Okay. Right?
Another part to it. We got a bunch of guys that we've got to decide whether or not we're going to keep them or waive them. Or waive them or keep them. All right. And we've got to make this decision by June 28th. And for Mitchell Robinson, believe it or not, Mitchell Robinson is one of these guys. We've got to make the decision on Mitchell Robinson.
He's not. Is he really?
Yes, he is. He's one of these guys. God. So we've got to make a decision. We've got to make a decision for Mitchell Robinson by June 28th. Okay, so for these guys that's here. What'd you say?
I said that should be a no-brainer. I mean, he is your core. I'm sorry.
Well, it's just the way that the contract was structured from when they signed him last year. All right.
Okay.
But
all right. Yeah.
So if you waive these guys by June 28th, Taj Gibson, if you waive him by June 28th, he's guaranteed $1 million. Wayne Ellington, if you waive him by June 28th, he's guaranteed $1 million. Elfrid Payton, if you waive him by June 28th, he's guaranteed $1 million. Okay, but you don't pay him. You don't pay him next year. He's off your books. Okay, so the Knicks got to make a decision on these guys by June 28th, whether to keep them or to waive them.
Okay.
Now they've got to make the same decision for Mitchell Robinson, except for Mitchell Robinson, they got to make the decision by June 29th. As a matter of fact, 2 years in a row. For this year, they got to make a decision by June 29th, 2020, if they're going to keep Mitchell Robinson for next year. And then next year, June 29th, they got to make the same decision. I don't know how much his guaranteed money is if they decide to waive him, but they've got to make a decision with Mitchell Robinson. You best believe that they're going to keep Mitchell Robinson. So you don't have to worry about that. They're keeping Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah.
Okay, they're keeping
but the
Mitchell
only
Robinson.
question is, if they keep him, how much is he going to command?
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's not that they have to waive him and then decide. It's not like so once he stays or once they decide not to waive him, his contract becomes fully guaranteed. I think he makes like 1.4 million or something like that. So it's not like once his contract once his contract becomes fully guaranteed, he's going to be making $8 million a year. He's still whatever his contract is, whatever they signed him for. Okay.
Okay.
And it's the same thing for those guys. With Taj Gibson, Wayne Ellington, Elfrid Payton, Reggie Bullock, Mitchell Robinson, if you don't waive them by June 28th, then their contracts become guaranteed.
Okay.
Right? So like Taj Gibson, that's like 9.4 million. Wayne Ellington's like 8 million. Elfrid Payton, 8 million. Reggie Bullock is like 4 million. So if you decide to keep if you don't waive them, say for some reason Leon Rose falls asleep, June 28th at midnight, he falls asleep at 11:58 and he forgot to waive him, then their contract would be fully guaranteed the next day.
Well, I'm gonna give Leon the total benefit of the doubt. I don't think he's gonna sleep at. I think that's gonna be one of his priorities. But stranger things have happened. But I could tell you, I don't believe I think Mitchell will be here for years to come.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it that Mitchell Robinson is going to be here. Yeah, I have no doubts about that.
Yeah. Okay? I have no doubts about a diamond in the rough. He is a shiny diamond in the rough. I don't think he's going to get. He's going to make Leon Rose is going to make the right decision.
Oh, he better make the right. Oh, listen, Mitchell Robinson. It's no doubt about it. It's those other guys that you wonder, what are they going to do with those other guys? Are they going to keep them or are they going to waive them?
Right. Here's my opinion with those free agents that you're talking about. The only ones, from what I've seen from this year, the only ones that I would really keep, I'd keep Taj Gibson and Reggie Bullock. I love what Alfred did. I have always wanted him for the team, but from where we're going, if we're going for that lead point guard position, I honestly want Frank being my backup. So that means someone's got to go. And unfortunately, I hate to do it. I know City for Real loves him and everything. I love him too, but it's got to be Elfrid Payton. He's got to be the odd man out, unfortunately.
Okay. All right.
Well, I believe in Frank Ntilikina's talent. He's really starting to really come into his own. I think watching Elfrid Payton, the way he operates, I think Frank really is taking a tone to that. And you saw his play improve dramatically. And for anybody who who's still trying to hate in the kid, really doesn't either know basketball or is not watching the games. Frank has earned his, the backup point guard position. I always wanted him. I was always a fan of Frank, and I always wanted him to start. But it's obvious that we need that dynamic point guard, which we'll get into later. But yeah, I think Alfred's the only one that's got to be out. Okay. So the only two I wanted. Go ahead.
Yeah. So let's look at let's just say, for example, we decided to keep those guys. We're going to look at what the salary cap would look like if we decided to keep those guys.
Keep them all, right, Sam?
Yeah, if we decided to keep all of those guys, right, then this is what the salary cap would look like. All right, if we decide to keep those guys, we'd have $92 million in active roster cap. All right, so that's $92 million of active players. That's if we kept Bobby Portis and Taj Gibson and Wayne Ellington and Elfrid Payton and all those guys, if we decided, you know what, we're keeping them all, our roster cap our active roster would be $92 million. Dead money on the cap is $6.4 million. That dead money is Joakim Noah. We're still paying Joakim Noah. All right, so that's dead money.
Thanks, Phil.
And then we got cap holds. So because Damian Dotson, Alonzo Trier, some of those other guys, because they're restricted free agents, there's cap holds for them going into next year. And then there's a $4 million cap hold for this trade exception that we got from the Marcus Morris trade. All right, so we have a $4 million trade exception that we can use. Okay. I'm not exactly sure when the date is to use it. I think it may be by next February. Right, but there's a $4 million cap hold there. All right.
Okay.
So our cap holds equal $13.5 million. So our total cap allocations are $112 million. Now, this information is coming from Spot Track. If you don't know what Spot Track is, check it out. Spot Track is, it breaks it down. It breaks down all the salary cap stuff. It's a nice website. All right.
Okay.
Now, the 2020 NBA salary cap max is $115 million. Looking at the way things are now with the, everything going on with the coronavirus, who knows what that salary cap is what the salary cap is going to be.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
Right now, the salary cap max is $115 million. That leaves us with $2.8 million. If we would have signed everybody back, it would leave us with $2.8 million. And it wouldn't work. You know why it wouldn't work? You can't do it because you got to have space for your rookies. We have 2 first-round picks. That means both of those salaries are guaranteed. Both of those salaries are guaranteed. So this would not work. You got to let somebody go. But this is just if they decided that they were going to keep everybody, this is what the salary cap would look like. They'd have $2.8 million to sign probably their 27th draft pick.
So now the question, Sim, is who do we let go?
Well, I mean, that's the decision. Yeah, that's the decision Leon Rose has to make, Now, let's say that they let go of everybody. This is how much money that they could free up for next summer if they let go of everybody.
Minus Mitch, right?
Minus Mitch. I kept Mitch in there. Minus Mitch. All right, so if they decided to let go of everybody, that means that Bobby Portis, they declined his option. They waived Taj Gibson. They waived Reggie Bullock. They waived Wayne Ellington. They waived Elfrid Payton. They decided not to sign Alonzo Trier or to let him go to whoever tried to, give him a contract. Same with Damian Dotson, Kadeem Allen, Isaiah Hicks. Right? They let all these guys go. Okay, so after waiving, releasing, or opting out of all the contracts, they would have $50.7 million of active roster cap. Okay, of active players, $50.7 million. They'd still have Joakim Noah's $6.4 million of dead money. That's not going anywhere. You got the cap hold of $3.988 million, basically $4 million for that trade exception. Okay, so you got that cap hold there. And then you got the rookie holds. Because you got to have, you got to carve out money for your rookies. So for the rookies, it's $6.8 million. All right, and that's assuming that the Knicks have the 6th pick. So I made this calculation based on the fact that right now we're in the 6th spot in the draft. And I'm just assuming, and I could be wrong, hopefully I'm wrong, but I'm assuming that the NBA stops today and they don't play anymore. Right? Mm-hmm. And the Knicks stay here in the 6th spot. They stayed there in the 6th spot. They'd have to give that 6th pick $5.1 million. The 27th pick, that's where they are right now, the Clippers. They get that Clippers pick. The 27th pick would be $1.7 million. Okay, so that equals $6.84 million, is for rookie holds. So then their total cap allocations is $68 million. That's how much that would be their total cap. The 2020 NBA salary cap max, $115 million. Their cap space would be basically $47 million would be their cap space for next year if they decided to let everybody go. All right, they would have $47 million. Hey, that's enough money. That's enough money to let Chris Paul eat up that space. I ain't trying to start nothing. I'm just saying that's enough money to let Chris Paul eat up that space if that's what they decided to do.
But you did start something because now people are going to.
I ain't trying to start nothing. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, Chris Paul makes $41 million, I think, next year. You still have $5 million left to sign somebody else. I'm not saying that I'm advocating for it. I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah, I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you.
I'm just putting that out there. So that's what the salary cap looks like, ladies and gentlemen. That's what the salary cap looks like.
Hey, Sim, real quick. When does Noah come off our books?
I think Joakim Noah comes off, 2021-22. I think the end of the 2022 season, I think he comes off, something like that.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. I think that's when he comes off. So, we'll see. Yeah. We'll see how that goes. Yeah. But the Knicks could free up about $47 million for next year if they wanted to. Hey, you know who else that's enough money to go after?
Who's that?
That guy from New Orleans.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about.
Brandon Ingram.
Brandon
Yes.
Ingram.
Yes.
You can throw the
absolutely.
you can throw the bag at. If you do this, you can throw the bag at Brandon Ingram. You can throw it at him.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
You can throw it at him. If you do this right here, you can throw it at him.
You're absolutely right.
So,
but like you said, you have to get rid of. Everybody would have to come off.
Well, not necessarily. Brandon Ingram, I think, his is going to be like 30 to $35 million is going to be his max deal if you want to throw it at him. So you would still have $10, $11 million that you could use on another free agent.
Okay, so let's say we keep Trier and Dotson, and we keep, let's say Gibson. Would that be enough that we could either Gibson or Bullock? Would that be enough that we could get go after an Ingram?
If you kept Bullock only makes $4 million. Gibson makes a little bit more than that. So Gibson's making like almost 10. So
right.
So
okay, so it'd have to be Bullock that we keep.
Yeah. So yeah, and I don't know if you waive those guys. I don't know if you can re-sign them for a cheaper deal or not. I don't know, but that's what the salary cap looks like. So now that we got a picture of where the Knicks stand, let's start talking about the draft.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's start talking about the draft because this is going to be an important draft for the Knicks, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah,
it seems every year is an important draft for the Knicks, right? Every year is an important draft for the Knicks because we are never, we're never in the playoffs. It's the reason why I've been posting old playoff games because we're never in the playoffs. Well, but this is an important draft, so let's take a look at the draft picks that we have.
Hey, Sam, let me just say this. I have a little. No, I'm just saying. I have a little philosophy with these draft picks. Whenever you have a new president of basketball operations coming in, I think the draft pick kind of tells who the president is. It distinguishes him. Like for Phil Jackson, it was Porzingis. For Steve Mills, it was Kevin Knox. Those were their first real draft picks, that they made. So this year, it's going to be interesting to see what Leon agrees upon to who to draft.
No, that you're right. I definitely agree with you there. I definitely agree with you. It's something that distinguishes. And sometimes it distinguishes a general manager or a president to a fault because they're like, hey, this is my guy. I want to see if this works. Even if the guy's not, it could distinguish him to a fault. Let's hope that's not the case, but it could be. You know what I mean? It happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
Well, here's one for you. Hey, here's one for you. The year that Stephen Curry and I forget the other point guard from Phoenix, Rubio, who our pick was Jordan Hill, who was the president of basketball operations then, Yeah,
I feel you. All right, so let's take a look at our draft position right now, okay, and where we are slated, at least for the moment. We'll see what happens with the remainder of the season, but this is where we're slated for the moment. So right now, we have 3 picks in this year's draft. Okay, we have the 6th pick, which is our own pick, and that's where we're slated right now. Listen, that pick could end up being, it could end up being whatever. I don't know. But right now, it's slated to be the 6th pick in the draft. Okay, and that's because of where we're positioned. Now, depending on what happens with the season, that could go up, that could go down.
Correct.
Right? That could go up, that could go down, depending on where we are in the season or what happens with the remainder of the season. But we have our pick, And then we have the 27th pick from the Clippers. Obviously, we completed the trade for Marcus Morris or for what's his name? We traded Marcus Morris and we got Mo Harkless.
Yes.
Right?
For Harkless, yes.
And then now we have, from that, when we traded Hernan Gomez, we have the 38th pick, or at least that's what it is right now, from the Charlotte Hornets. Okay. And then there's some funny stuff going on with the picks in the second round because we have something going on with the Boston Celtics and the Philadelphia 76ers. I think the 76ers will get one of our picks depending on which is higher or something like that. But we're going to have a second round pick. We just don't know exactly where it is. Right now, if the season were to end today, which it's not here today, so it's a good chance that the season ends today, this is where the Knicks would likely pick if the season were to end today.
So it's 6, 27, and then in the second round, 30.
38.
Is that what you're saying?
38.
38. I'm sorry.
Yep. 38th in the second round. Okay.
Okay. All right.
So that's what we're looking at right now. 6th, 27th, and 38th. Okay, we're looking at that right now. Now, with those picks, we've got to try to pull together. We've got to try to address some needs. Okay, so here, these are my needs for this team right now. Mm-hmm. Number 1, point guard.
Yep.
Hands down, for me, point guard is the biggest need for the New York Knicks.
Right.
I love Frank Ntilikina. Right? And I still think that Frank Ntilikina is going to be a good player in the NBA. Still think he's going to be a good player in the NBA. He's going to be somebody who's going to be able to contribute to a good team. Okay? Is he going to be a starting point guard, a leading point guard? I don't know.
He doesn't have to be. He doesn't have to be.
Right. He can be an all-purpose type of guy.
Yeah, he doesn't have to be. And for me, again, I want him to be our backup point guard, point blank.
Okay.
Point blank. I want him to be our backup point guard.
Okay. And then I think we need 3-point shooting.
Yep.
We need someone who can really come in and just knock down a 3-point shot and just really, bang, 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 bang. We need one of those guys that can be a lethal 3-point shooter that puts fear in your heart. That's something that I think we really, really need. We need one of those guys that can just put some fear in your heart.
Like that since Novak.
Yes, exactly.
Nothing like that since Novak. Yeah.
And then I think we need center depth. Some people may disagree with me, but I think we need to have. We can't sit and think that Mitchell Robinson is going to be able to, block every single shot that comes down the lane. You know what I'm saying? Every time. Even from the bench, right? Even from the bench. He's not going to do that. Right. So you need someone, if Mitchell Robinson is going to be your starting center going forward, right? Or if he starts next year, I'm thinking maybe he's going to be ready to start next year, hopefully. I didn't think he was ready to start this year. I think I was right about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm hoping that he's ready to start next year, and then if he's solidified his spot as a starting center in the NBA as the New York Knicks starting center, then you need someone to back him up. Right? You can back him up with Taj Gibson, right? But Taj Gibson's getting older. He's not going to give you. He's only going to give you but so many minutes before he starts to, he can't give you those minutes, right?
Sam, let me ask you this. So you say the backup. We need a backup 5. What did you? Because you saw him more in person than I did. What do you think of Kenny Wooten?
See, all right. I mean, Kenny Wooten is,
because it sounds like, I don't mean to cut you off, but it sounds like to me that you're not really high you're not really high on him.
No, I like Kenny Wooten. I do. I like Kenny Wooten, and I think that Kenny Wooten is going to be a good role player in the NBA one day. I think he'll be a role player that, and it might take a couple years, in my opinion. It might take a couple years before he's actually in the NBA and giving you some real productive minutes. You know what I'm saying?
But you don't.
I see. As far as him being the backup center, this is just my opinion, right? And I know people are looking at what the Rockets are doing with having someone who's having their whole team is 6'8". I feel like you still need someone with the size. They don't have to post up, right? They don't have to be the post up player, but the length and the size, I still feel like you need somebody with that length and size on the defensive side of the floor. You know what I'm saying?
And you don't think all right, so you're saying that right now he doesn't have the size, and you don't think that he has the what do you say, experience, you think?
He's got to pick up his offensive game. I seen him play live, and he's basically, basically a shorter version of Mitch. He's not going to create a shot too much.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You're going to catch him slashing to the basket. You're not going to catch Mitch slashing to the basket, but other people are going to create the shots for him.
Okay, I can go with that. See, by you telling me this, now that changes my whole way of thinking that, okay, then maybe we should go after, a 5 and everything. And I got somebody in mind, so but keep going. Okay.
But that's where, that's what I see, World Wide West, what's going on, man?
What's good, Sam? How you living, man?
I'm chilling, man. I'm feeling good. Hopefully you feel good, safe, and everybody healthy and everything.
Yeah, man. I work in the healthcare system, so
okay,
it's real out there, bro. It's real, man. I'm trying to save lives, man.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Well, thank you. Let me just say that first and foremost. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for what you do, man. I was waiting for this show. At work, I'm like, all right, man, when I get out of work, I'm going to jump on because nothing else happening. And, I have never been, I've been here once, matter of fact,
Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah, I do remember you coming in here. I remember you coming in. Now, I'm glad you're here, man. Glad you're here. So we're talking about the biggest needs for the team. And right now, I have for the team needs, for the biggest needs, I got point guard, 3-point shooting, and center depth. What do you think? What do you think are the biggest needs for this team in the draft?
All right. So number one, we need obviously we need a starting point guard. We need a starting caliber point guard, somebody who's capable of scoring, distributing. So that I think we should cover that in the draft. Unless we land the number 1 overall pick or the number 2 overall pick and Anthony Edwards is still available. I think he, is a type of talent in the NBA that you don't draft need, you just draft Edwards. He's a really good prospect. And then you slide RJ to the 3 in that scenario. And so this is my plan A, because I would hope that we landed the first pick, whether likely or unlikely. So we draft Edwards at 1. I would then look to make a trade for Chris Paul involving Anthony Randolph. I mean, Julius Randle. I would look to get Chris Paul. And I say that because more so, even bigger than a point guard, this team needs a culture setter, right? Somebody who, similar to Marcus Morris, but better than Marcus Morris and more decorated than Marcus Morris and even more of a verbal leader than Marcus Morris, and somebody who can impact the game bigger than Marcus Morris, right? Because even if Chris Paul is not giving you the same scoring, 19 points, if he's only dropping like 15, 16 points a game, he's going to be controlling the ball a lot. He's going to be having assists and affecting the play of everybody else's, so his impact is going to be exponential. So I think he's a culture setter. Just imagine, what we got from Jason Kidd in that 1 year when he was 39. If we had that from when he was from 35 to 39, a good 4 years of that, that's the type of you stamp, you put a culture down, and then you have somebody, other places to succeed it. You teach the young players, so they're in year 5, they're taking everything they learned from Jason Kidd and they're going with it. But you only had him for 1 year. You know what I mean? So I think I'm comparing Chris Paul to the same type of effect and impact that he can have on your culture. Not, and he's still a good player. You know what I mean? And then I would also look at Steven Adams, or what's his name, Aaron Baines. He'd actually be my first target. Aaron Baines as a center, because even if Mitch likes to be a backup, backup center, you can start Aaron Baines, or you could even play Aaron Baines with Mitch. You could Aaron Baines could be your backup. Like, there's a lot of ways that you could fit him in there, and that would make sense. I don't think Aaron Baines is a free agent. I think the Suns just signed him last year, so we'd have to trade for him. Being that they have DeAndre Ayton, and they're going to be trying to get better at different positions, they might be willing to give up Aaron Baines to use that money and relocate those funds to a player at a different position. So I think that's a possibility, or I would at least look into it. The number one free agent I would look into is that boy from New Orleans, the lazy eye. What's his name?
Yeah, Anthony Livingston. No.
You know who we talking about? What's his? He used to play for the Lakers.
Brandon Ingram.
Brandon Ingram. Thank you. Yeah, he would be my first choice of a free agent. Brandon Ingram. Throw the bag at him. See if the New Orleans Pelicans match it, which they probably will, and then I would move into Plan B, which is what I just mentioned. All right. So we also need wing depth, 3-point shooting, right? I think it's pretty obvious. The main dude I'm going for is that dude on the Nets. All of a sudden, everybody's name is escaping me.
Harris.
Right. I would go for him, because he's gettable. The Nets are trying to get superstars in, or they're trying to they don't want that many complementary pieces. A lot of things are in flux. He's the type of role player that he can be had. And I think he's a small forward. I think he's like 6'7". You know what I mean? And he shoots that 3-pointer like you wouldn't believe. He would help RJ's game. He'd help Mitch's game. And he has savvy too. He's the type of player like he's not as good as Ray Allen, but he understands the dynamics that when he curls and he catches the ball at the 3-point line, the help defender who's usually guarding the big man or whoever set the pick, he's in no man's land. He's either going to come out and help, or he has to retrieve and go back to the basket. So I noticed that Harris is really good at making those reads, like, dishing it down low to the big man, or shooting the 3, or even going off the dribble instead of shooting a 3-pointer. So he's really adept at, coming off the screen. So I feel like he could really help us. Like, where Wayne Ellington, he can shoot, Reggie Bullock can shoot, but they're not wizards as far as using that pick. You know what I mean? You almost have to set a perfect pick for those guys to get open. Whereas Harris he just knows how to run around these picks the same way Reggie Miller did, the same way Ray Allen did. So I would look at him.
Worldwide West. Question: with Harris, how much do you think he would command as far as a contract?
How much money?
Yeah,
I'm not paying him over 15 mil.
Okay.
I'm not paying him over 15 mil. And I think that he can be had for 15 mil. You give him like a 3-year deal, maybe like, 65 mil. No, I'm sorry, 45 mil. That would be 15 a year. Something like that would be reasonable. You'd give him around the same amount that you're giving Bobby Portis,
Yeah.
Because you don't want to get carried away and give him, overpay him, because the cap is not going up. I think we've reached the point where, like, the next 3 years, the cap is probably going to be steadily where it is, or drop a little bit. So you want to be mindful.
Yeah.
Plus, go ahead.
Based on what's happening right now, that cap could definitely, stay where it is or drop. But I wanted to just take a look at Knicks' big board, and we can, this is just, I have some people up here, right? And, this can, obviously, it'll move around and change around. I'm actually going to take this and put it on my website and put it up there so we can move it around. But let's just look at a big board of players, right? And then kind of break down which players would really fit with the Knicks, and really looking at it through the perspective of where we would fall in the draft. Because right now we're at the 6th pick, and if the season stops here, then then this is where we are. You know what I mean? And we got to look at which players would realistically would we be able to get at the 6th pick. Okay, now this is this is a big board of players, right? That I think could be on the Knicks big board, and there's probably other players that are better than the guys I have up here. All right, that would be on the Knicks big board, but it's a board. Okay, it's a board, so don't kill me for it. All right, so don't kill me for it. So, all right, Knicks big board. So looking at the first round, we have 2 picks in the first round, right? We got the 6th pick, and we got the 27th pick. Okay, so I just got a list of players up here, and there's a guy that I really like for that 27th pick. I'll be honest with you. One of the reasons that I really like him for that 27th pick is because he's from around where I live, and I've seen the guy play, and I would love to have a local boy from here playing for the Knicks. But anyway, obviously point guard is our most important position and our biggest need, but when you're looking at the guards, and right now we're slotted for the 6th pick. Anything could happen in the draft. You could move up for the 1st pick, but looking at guards, I got Anthony Edwards, obviously, on the big board, right? LaMelo Ball, Tyrese Halliburton, Cole Anthony, Killian Hayes. Okay, looking at just looking at from that 1st to that 6th pick, these are guys that'll be options for us. And if you're looking at the 6th pick, you're probably looking more towards Killian Hayes, Tyrese Halliburton, Cole Anthony. You're probably looking more towards that if you're looking at that 6th pick, in my opinion. Right?
Okay. So Sam, out of those guys that you just named at 6, the one that I like the most out of all of them is I mean, and this is assuming that we can't get Anthony Edwards or LaMelo Ball. The one I'm looking at is Killian Hayes.
Okay.
He's 18 years old.
Who'd you say?
Killian Hayes. He's from overseas. Bro West, people gonna frown when I tell them that he's from France and everything, but he was actually born in Florida. Yeah, okay, so you see where I'm going with that. He was actually born in Florida. He played for France, but now he's playing for Germany. But he's 6'5", 18 years old. He averages 12.8 points a game, and he was shooting 37% from 3. And he's averaging six assists a game. He's more of a playmaker than anything. And his defense is on point.
He's like a 90, what do they call it? A 90, 50, 40 guy.
Yes.
Like he shoots 90 from the free throw line, 50 from the field, and almost 40 from the 3-point line. So that should translate. He's the one guy that I don't have a firm grasp on. Right. I watch his highlights. I haven't watched like a full game of his. Like that's what I have to do, and watch a full game and just see exactly how he plays and makes decisions. But he's interesting. Like, see, me, if I was the GM of the Knicks, it would come down to the workouts. You know what I mean? I know I watch game film, but you have to watch them up and live in person, because a lot of these prospects, I mean, you could slip up and pick the wrong guy just because he has a big name and just because he's went to college in America, or you could pick the wrong guy and say, all right, we saw what these Americans have to offer. We haven't seen what these overseas players. Let's take a.
Correct.
It could go either way, and I think that we should be more thorough with this draft, because when we picked up Frank, and I love Frank, I want him to stay on the team. I'm a huge supporter of Frank as a backup.
Yes.
I think he'd be a great backup.
I agree totally.
So you know, I didn't want us to draft him. I wanted us to draft Dennis Smith Jr. and
well,
I should be even more embarrassed about that. I didn't see Donovan Mitchell being what he is, man. I didn't see that.
Nobody did. Nobody did.
No.
If you did, and if people say they did, then they're lying. They really are.
They're lying. Like I remember watching the only game that I remember really, really watching from Donovan Mitchell was when they played Pittsburgh. And it was a dude in Pittsburgh that we Guillermo was popping. There was a dude in Pittsburgh that we ended up picking him up over waivers. And he killed Donovan Mitchell for like 40-something points. I forgot his name. We ended up drafting him too, or picking him up for waivers. He ended up not working out for us. And I'm like, nah, if that dude's gonna kill Donovan Mitchell like that, I don't want him. So
right.
Now it's like I can't be so definitive on who's great and who's not, because I wanted Kevin Knox. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Me too.
And I know we're not there yet, Sim, but for a basketball player going from age 18 to 19 to 20 to actually regress, to get worse, that's very unnatural. That is like something is up. Like that doesn't happen. It's like if you're a chess player, if you're a barber, if you're anything that requires skill and you do it every single day and you're getting worse at it, something's wrong. You know what I mean? So I don't know what's up.
Real quick, and I agree totally with what you're saying about Knox, but on the flip side of that, we could also blame that on the development as well. I don't think a lot of these players were developed. Yeah, okay.
And you could also look at you can compare, you can look at his numbers from last year and compare the numbers from last year. The percentages, instead of looking at the points, right? Look at the percentages. The percentages are also down, right? But he also, he got more minutes last year just out of because there was nobody else there, so he got more minutes. The thing I think the big thing though is to look at the percentages, because the percentages are down from last year as well. If the percentages were up, maybe you'd look at it a little bit different. That was the last time I looked at it. I haven't really looked at it lately. To really compare those percentages. But those percentages are down. They started off up, but those percentages are also down.
His first that's the thing. 8 games, he was doing his thing.
Yeah, but that's the thing with the draft, though, man. It's a crapshoot. Like people always say, you never know. You really, really never know what you're gonna get when you're talking about the draft. You just don't know. So let me look at a few more people that's on the board. All right, a few more people that I got up there on the board. For forwards, well, I said my guards: Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball, Tyrese Halliburton, Cole Anthony, Killian Hayes. I really do feel like we need to build more depth at that center spot. Right now, if you have a top pick, if you top 1, 2, or 3, I think you look at James Wiseman, of course, if you're one of those, if you're up there, maybe that's not who you go with, but you give it a look. When you're talking about this 27th pick, Vernon Carey from Duke, right? You might take a look that way when you're talking about that 27th pick. He should be somewhere around that range. Right, he should be somewhere around that range. He might get picked up before then, who knows? But he should be somewhere around that range. So maybe you look that way, because I really do feel like, Vernon Carey, he averaged 25 points, 12.7 rebounds for Duke this season. How's it going to translate to the NBA? You never know. But I think now if you got a James Wiseman, you're probably not bringing in James Wiseman to be your backup center. So then you'd have an issue there. Right? You'd have an issue. So maybe that's not where you would go if you got the first 1 or 2 picks. But let's say you got number 2 or 3 and he was left on the board, which he won't be. He was left on the board, then you take him. I mean, and then you figure it out later, I think. You know what I'm saying? I think that's probably the best. That's what you would do, because then if you had him on the board, and you had to decide between Mitch and him who's going to be my starting center, then you or maybe you just say I'm gonna rock with both of them. Who knows? You might be able to rock with them both. I don't know, but I think at that point, if you reach that point, where let's say you were third and somehow he was still on the board, then you take him. That would be the only smart thing to do. Or if you were second, he was on the board, you take him.
Hey, Sam, real quick, I think a lot of it has to deal with when the team, what position the teams are going to be picking and what their needs are as well. So if a team really needs that you talk about Wiseman probably not going to be on the board, at 2 or 3. It all depends on, I think, of what the team really needs, because we really don't know who the number 1 pick is going to be. I mean, we say Edwards, but it could be somebody else too.
No, that's true. You're right. It could be someone else. I'm just saying, I'm just speaking. Let's say if the Knicks were in that 1, 2, 3 range, and he was still on the board at 2.
Okay.
Right. Let's say Anthony Edwards went 1 and he was on the board at 2. Then you take him. Even though you got Mitch, you take him. I think that's the only smart thing to do. If you have the number 1 pick, then I guess you decide between him and Anthony Edwards which one's going to fit, what you're trying to do, what your outlook is the best. But, going back and looking at this big board here, like I said, center, James Wiseman, Vernon Carey. And like I said, I'm going to put this big board up on my website. So, we can follow along and we can add to the big board and stuff like that. And then for forwards, you got Danny Advija. Right now, he's, people got him going maybe 3rd. Isaac Okoro, Obi Toppin, and of course, like I told you, that kid Sadiq Bey, but he's probably going to be more down if you're picking him out down towards the end of the first round. You'll probably be picking him out there.
Hey Sam, did you say the guy from Israel you said would be like 2 or 3?
Some boards he's around 3. Not on every board, but on some boards he's around 3, 4.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Yep.
Okay.
But like you said, it's all gonna be based on what teams are looking at, right? It's all gonna be based on what teams are looking at and what teams want to do. And then looking at the second round, who knows? I like to try to get a shooting forward. Killian Tilly, he's a shooting forward. He can shoot the ball. I think he's 38, 39%. Cassius Stanley, I think he can shoot the ball a little bit. Maybe you look at center if you didn't pick up a center in your first 2 with the 6th or the 27th pick. Maybe you look at Azubuike. Who knows, man? Who knows? But that's what that's what I'm looking at right now, and obviously it could change at any moment. Unfortunately, we won't get a chance to see these guys play in March Madness. That's a good play. That's where you really start to get an idea of what these guys can do when the pressure is on. You know what I mean? So unfortunately, we won't get a chance to see that.
Say this. If we go with your premise, what we talked about, if we got rid of all of our 1-year players, if we got rid of all of them and just started over new. I mean, I think you said we keep like one of those guys, either like Bullock or it would be Bullock. It all depends on what this development really does, as far as if we draft these guys, if they're going to get any type of playing time. We still didn't see Iggy this entire season, so that's another guy. Coming into next season, we don't know what he's going to really bring to the table. So I really think the development department, whatever you want to call it, they really got to I get well, management's got to draft right, and then the development has really got to get these guys get these guys affiliated, as far as their development is concerned.
Yeah, no doubt, man, no doubt. Armando Chico, big shout out, man. Thank you for the super chat. You said, "What's up, Sim? Bless you." You said, "I take Cole Anthony." Okay, all right. I mean, obviously things are gonna depend on where the Knicks pick. It's gonna be I think in this draft, what it's gonna come down to is that scouting, man. How you're scouting, all of the intel that you have, the background, the background information you can get, and this is where maybe Leon Rose is really gonna be valuable. Because as an agent, you're doing all these type of things because you're trying to find the best player possible to represent. So hopefully he'll be valuable in that aspect. Guillermo, what's going on, man?
Oh, go ahead.
What's going on, Guillermo?
Yo, it was good, Sam. It was good, Kevin. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man.
I haven't talked to you in a while.
I'm chilling, man. I'm just watching a bunch of film, man. Just take everything in stride, man. Everything's cool, man.
That's all we can do.
Yeah,
How'd you do in your game?
Which game?
Didn't you have a game this week? I saw the last two.
Oh, not this week. I had it last week. The one where I had the game. They canceled one game because it was this Monday, and then before that, the 14-point game where I cramped up. We lost that one, but yeah, man, it sucks. We can't in New York. We cannot do basically anything, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's not just you,
I've been
man.
I've been watching. I know you guys been talking about Killian Hayes. I'm just watching right now. So that kid Denny, is that the one that's from Israel?
From Israel, yeah.
Yeah, I see. I was watching some of his game, and this is why it's so hard with guys like Luka Doncic, right? And people call me, they'll say, "Oh, I'm a hater." Trust me, do people remember Nikolai Tishvili from 2004, 2000? Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
This guy, remember, if Sim might remember him. Remember, he was drafted by the Nuggets. And this guy was all hyped up. Oh, he's the next to that. Mind you, his scouts or the people in the Denver Nuggets didn't even watch film on him. They didn't even know who the hell he was. It was basically just recommended, and the hype machine behind it. So this is what I say with the Euro stars. If you're gonna pick a kid from Europe, if you're gonna pick him in the second round, that's one thing, right? And I'm watching this kid Killian, right? And it could be the same thing with Frank, where if you don't have the proper system for him, right, and the proper lane of development, where it's like, all right, we are looking at this guy as
he has to fall at the right team
as a 2-3 year project, where we're gonna base the offense around him. We're gonna allow him to make all the mistakes. We're not gonna kill him for the mistakes. Remember, Frank Ntilikina was taken out of the lineup, was changed from a point guard to a shooting guard on a Hornets second, and the second year Fizdale, whatever it's Fizdale. So I mean, if you're gonna allow a kid like Killian Hayes, because he has okay speed. He has okay traits. He has good vision. I'll give him that.
He plays great defense.
You have to allow him to right, and he plays really good defense. But you have to allow him to grow into that, because the speed and the way they play overseas is a lot different from how they play in the U.S. It's a lot more team oriented. Guys are moving in motion. Guys understand the team concept. Versus here, you basically almost, for the most part, if they're not going to get the offense towards you, you almost have to force your issue and make everything orbit around you based off your talent, i.e. a Ja Morant, i.e. Whatever top point guards that you see, a Dame Lillard, who's not necessarily a point guard, but he's a point guard in name, I guess. But because of offense, he can shoot so well off the dribble, beat you off the dribble, things like that. The offense kind of rotates around him. So the thing about with Killian Hayes, it's not that I want him. I hate saying this because I like Frank. And this is why I won't pick him, because right now the Knicks really don't have a identity to the offense, because everything's just in flux right now. We don't know who's going to be a coach next year. So I would lean towards more pure talent, right? And it's tough in this draft because I think it's one of the weaker drafts. But again, like you said, you got to scout properly. Because remember the year with who's this guy, the bum that went to the Cleveland Cavaliers? Big man.
Talk about
no, he's good.
No. The guy way before that, Cleveland took a number one and Anthony Bennett.
Anthony Bennett.
That year, who else was drafted? Oladipo was drafted. People are like, oh, well, he can't, Oladipo was drafted that year. And I think Giannis was drafted that year too, right?
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
I think he was drafted that year. So and obviously Giannis had that weird growth spurt where he grew like whatever, how many inches after his first year, whatever. But this is a draft where we can't necessarily go off of need base. That's where you get guys who are just got to go for pure talent. You're going to get guys who are just not going to pan out to not be good. And then you're going to look at some other team who picked 10th, and you're like, oh crap, they picked. You know, and I might say I like the kid. I've been watching. I'm starting to watch Obi Toppin.
Well, Gilmore,
I like him.
Okay, so Gilmore, let me ask you this. You too, Mark. So, what you're saying, Gilmore, about Killian? Would you say the same thing about LaMelo as well?
No. If LaMelo doesn't play defense like that. And again, with LaMelo is that. What the NBA has gotten into is that you get these glut of young kids who call themselves point guards, and
he's a point guard, bro.
He may have the vision, Mark, but
he's a point guard.
He's a point guard, bro. He's a point guard. He's a point guard. He's a pure point guard.
Wait, hold up, Sim. Is Mark unmuted? Because I don't want to make it seem like I'm talking to.
No, he's unmuted. He's unmuted.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
That kid has the floor general aspect to his game. No. He is the real deal. And his defense, if you watch his games, he's capable. He's capable. Bro,
he don't got defense like. So put like this: would you rather take him or Halliburton? Because if you're talking about LaMelo Ball,
listen, I'm taking LaMelo because he has the attitude to play in Madison Square Garden. To play here, you have to have moxie. He has that moxie. None of the fame, the stardom is going to make him not play his game.
I hope so, because they say the same thing about his brother. His brother, he got screwed by LeBron, but
he's different than his brother, though. He's different than his brother. He's DNA. He's a little different than his brother.
His father hyped him. He was never like that when he played in UCLA. He was always grounded. His father hyped him. That's what it was with Lonzo. But Melo, he has everything that the Knicks need in a point guard. Run the floor, pass the ball when it's needed, knowing where his plays are to get the ball to, and then he is very his ball handling will get him anywhere on the floor where it's needed. He is perfect for our point guard spot. And I swear to God, if it ain't him or Edwards, I would try to do something with that pick and try to get a more established player.
Okay. So because it looks right now,
Mark. So you're not sold on Killian or Halliburton, or I'll give you two other point guards too. The one from Alabama, Kyra Lewis, and even from San Diego State, Maliki.
What's wrong with Cole Anthony? Why nobody rock with Cole Anthony?
Listen, hold on.
Cole Anthony's solid, but he's gonna have an issue transition to the NBA in terms of his shot, because he's been wildly inconsistent.
I think it's the opposite. I think he's gonna play better in the NBA than he played in college. With more spacing than he could shoot.
Worldwide, you are right. But here's the Knicks dilemma right now. Our problem is, and this is why we have to find ways of getting Randall, and I have a suggestion, Sim, but our guys, our young talent need a guy to get them the ball. If you watch Knicks games, when you watch Knox, when you watch RJ, when you watch Frank, they are guys that are dependent on a point guard to allow them to get space and to allow to get the ball, to shoot the ball. So in that case, Cole Anthony's more of a guard that's going to shoot before he makes his plays better.
Yeah, he's not. No.
He's good, but not for what the Knicks need. The Knicks need a guy who can push the floor. Our young players need to get out on breaks. They score easier. Easier.
Okay, so Mark, again, you don't think Killian can do that?
No, Killian is good. But what I would do, if it ain't LaMelo or Edwards, for me, this is for me. I would look to try to get a young established player with that pick. But if it came to that case, I would take Killian because of his defensive prowess and his floor general. Anybody that could run the floor for this team and knowing where to find these young guys so we can get the right development for them. Because, again, that's what the Knicks lack all year round, of making these young guys not good. Our young guys was not good because they didn't get the ball when it was necessary for them to develop in ways that I could have seen certain players on our team to to feel good about them coming on.
I totally agree. How many times was RJ out on the wing, and he was totally looked off by Randall or
Kevin,
what's his name?
Kevin, not even that.
Okay, I'm sorry, my bad.
All right. You see, I like Kevin Knox because he has the shooting touch, and there's a little more talent in his game. But the only way to get that out of him is if he's dependent on a point guard. Period. That's his game. His game is very highly dependent
let me ask you this, Mark. Mark, let me ask you this.
In college.
Let me ask you this, because you mentioned you were talking about that 6th pick.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I'm assuming I'm just saying 6th pick because that's where we are right 6
now. 6 picks, so that's where we got to go.
Right. That's where we are right now. Would you look at? We got a 6th pick. You got the 27th pick right now. Mm-hmm. You got to pay both of them. That's not going to be a problem for the Knicks. You got to pay both of them. Won't be a problem, right? We broke down the salary cap earlier. The Knicks would have $47 million. It's not going to be a problem.
No, not going to be a problem.
That's $47 million after they pay those two guys, so that's not going to be a problem. But would you look at packaging those picks to do something else?
See me, I would, because I would see if there's any offers out. Because I'm looking for a guy who the young players can respect. It's like this. I like RJ a lot. But for him to develop the way we want him to develop, we need another established player that can create space for him that's going to make him better. RJ is dependent on the space because he don't have the foot speed. He don't have the ball dribbling handle yet. I'm giving him time.
Okay, so I'm gonna start some trouble. I already know Mark's answer. I want to know you guys' answer. The Knicks, right? Like I said, I broke down what the salary cap would be. Right? If the Knicks waive everybody, don't bring anybody back. Okay. Sign their 2 draft picks. Mm-hmm. They still got $47 million, right? Would you use that $47 million to eat up to bring in Chris Paul? Listen, or like Worldwide West said,
hold on.
Go ahead. I mean, West had talked about trading Julius Randle to bring in Chris Paul. I don't know if OKC would be interested in doing that because they'd be looking to get rid of that $41 million.
Listen,
they'd be looking to get that
that's how leverage. That's how, because at the end of the day, they just wanted Chris Paul here for the year. Because they still going to trade that. That is our advantage. If whoever's controlling this could play it right, Sim, if we could have Chris Paul and say if we drafted LaMelo, oh my God. You don't understand what Chris Paul would do for our young guys, man. And the assertiveness that he's a leader and they're going to follow. I need somebody they can follow. I need someone that this young team can follow.
But Mark. All right, so if they did do that, and you say we draft LaMelo, then I'm going to go back to the same thing. Yeah. What are you doing about Frank?
You can play Frank as an off guard.
Frank can play mad different positions, though.
I told you I got an off guard guy. He can handle the ball, but he plays more of an off guard style of game. So I'm not worried about Frank. Okay. But if I could put Chris Paul in this lineup, and I could run the three-man point guard how they run in OKC with him, Frank, and LaMelo.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
God. Oh my God. Yeah. But just the fervor that Chris Paul would give to these young guys, and Sim, they would have to play defense playing with Chris Paul. That is mandatory.
The thing with Chris Paul, all I'll say is that, and I already said this, like I've warmed to the idea to it. As long as we don't give up any major assets, to be great. The only thing I'll say is that with Chris Paul, because he's in his older stage, that your second rounders or whoever you bring in, you better, because you don't want disruption after you leave, so you better draft somebody who's going to play under his same and that's fine, because again, one thing that's hard for these young kids to develop is, and some ideas don't develop, I think it's a natural talent, but sometimes you can develop if you have time, is court vision. Chris Paul's court vision is second to none. You know what I mean? So, and the thing about it is that everywhere Chris Paul has went, when he's left, and I mean it's in a good way, and it's more so on the team, is that he is like a supernova where he comes in, but then once he leaves, their offense falls apart because they really didn't build behind him. Because look at the Clippers. I mean, obviously now Clippers are different, but Clippers right after you left. If you look at the Hornets after you left, it was like, all right, what do we do now? And you depended so much on Chris Paul, like Mark said. But the thing about Chris Paul is that even in the offense, because when you see a lot of these guys play, if you go back to the Clippers, there's a lot more off-ball movement to get guys like J.J. Redick open, right? To guys get Blake Griffin the ball at the right time. You know what I mean? The Knicks need to build towards that. So if you get a Chris Paul, which I agree with, hey, I like it.
Oh my God!
Build around a guy. So if you want to draft a Killian Hayes, even though I wouldn't, you can have him sit behind Chris Paul. And that's the thing I think you were talking about, whether you have the draft or the free agency first. But if you're gonna draft a guy like Killian Hayes or something like that, you better be sure you get a Chris Paul, because again, you don't need another Frank situation where you get some kid being taken back and forth. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's gonna be
that Chris Paul. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting draft. The biggest thing for me is the Knicks got to make sure they got their scouting team together, and that's why we went over that whole thing from the beginning when we first started the show, where we looked at, we talked about all of the, we looked at the front office staff. And we looked at all of that stuff because we got to know, who's going out there and scouting, because this draft is going to be, scouting is going to be essential. The lines are open, ladies and gentlemen, so you can give me a call, 516-405-2246. Give me a call.
Sam, I have a suggestion.
All right.
You want to hear it?
Yep.
All right, check this out. Give me a second, because this is what we could do, right? There's a way where we can get Randall off, right? We'll get Randall off. We'll trade him to Charlotte for Batum, and then release Batum because he's on his last deal. I think the Knicks could probably do that if they're looking to get rid of Julius Randle. And then the Knicks, there's a player that I want in the second round. I think late first round and the late second round. Scott Lewis. He's another. Well, I think he's a 3-and-D guy.
Okay, so let me stop you right there, though.
Yeah.
If Nicholas Batum is in his last year, they can't trade him. Charlotte can't trade him.
No. Yeah, he can't get traded. What are you talking about?
Is this his last season? This is his last season? And he's an unrestricted free agent?
Charlotte needs talent.
No, but what I'm saying, by the rules, Charlotte can't trade him. You can't trade a guy in their last year unless they have another year. Like, there's got to be an option for the next year. You can't trade him.
He's going to be a free agent after this year.
You can, because that's his last deal, Sim.
No, there's got to be another year afterwards. There's got to be another year afterwards in order for you to be able to trade him. There's got to be some kind of an option or something. You can't trade him in that last year, because if that was the case, you would trade him just before you would trade him, and then he'd go into free agency. You can trade him at the deadline, but after the deadline, you can't trade that guy if he's in his last year.
So Sam, let me ask you this: when we traded for DeAndre Jordan,
he was in his last year.
But that was at the deadline. That was at the deadline.
Okay.
You can do it
trade
at
for
the
Julius
deadline.
Randle is Chris Paul. You got to trade Julius Randle for Chris Paul, because then OKC saved $60 million.
Listen, one of those Dallas picks is going in one of those deals with Chris Paul. Like, I would do it, honestly.
Then we're not giving them no picks.
Listen.
I
would do it.
No, don't give up no picks.
Listen. For Chris Paul's sake, I would do it. Like, you got to understand, it's going to outweigh that 20th pick. Honestly, him being here would do so much.
We're not giving them no picks either way.
What?
Here's the thing: the OKC's not in a position of power. They're in a small market. They're gonna have to pay the luxury tax. It comes down to finances. They could try and play big man if they want, but they don't want to keep his $80 million on the cap. So they'll take Julius Randle's $20 million for 1 year and save $60 million and just be practical and say, listen, we're not going to try and fleece you. You know what I mean? It'll be something that's amendable.
You got me.
Hey, guys, let me get to a phone call right quick. All right, let me get to a phone call, and I'm going to come back to you guys. I'm going to put you guys on mute, but I'll be back in shortly. All right? I'll be back in shortly. Let me get to this phone call here. Caller? You on live with Nothing But Knicks. What's popping?
Yo, what's up, Sim?
I'm good, brother. How you feeling?
I'm all right.
Talk to me, man. What's your question? or comment?
No, we're basically coming off of what we should do in free agency is I don't think the NBA can do the draft until after free agency because a lot of deals are made on draft night depending on like where you place and what players are picked. So
well, that's true. That's true. That's definitely true. Yeah, there's a lot of deals that happen on draft night. But here's the thing. So you have a lot of deals that happen on draft night, but none of them involve free agents because you can't trade a free agent. Once that season is over, you can't trade the free agent. You can't trade someone who's going into free agency, right?
Yeah, you're right.
So you could still you could still make a move. I mean, even if you had free agency before the draft, you could still make a trade. But talking about the draft, man, what would you do? What are you looking at doing in the draft?
Hey, I gotta agree with Mark tonight. I mean, LaMelo's got his flaws. Don't get me wrong. LaMelo jacks up a lot of crazy shots, and he gets lackadaisical on defense. But I think if you can get him in there, or Anthony Edwards, because Anthony Edwards is a monster. You can get those two guys. I mean, I don't see why we don't think about trading up. I mean, we could always trade up. We could add another pick. We can add a pick next year. Make sure that we get who we're going to get. And then if that's not an option, like you said, if you're at the 5th, 6th pick, I don't know. I mean, you go get a young established star. I think.
What do you mean?
I think.
So you're saying you package the picks to trade for somebody?
Yeah, I mean, you package them and trade. Why not? I mean, that's what their assets. And if you can go get a guy who's, I'm thinking like try to steal a player like Devin Booker, try to steal, Beal, something like that. Like try to get a monster. But if you can't do that, that Chris Paul deal looks good all day. I mean.
Now, see, here's the thing about the Chris Paul deal, because, and I warmed up to it too, as well, right? I mean, I never had a problem with Chris Paul being a Knick, as far as from a leadership standpoint. I only had an issue with the contract. But looking at where the Knicks stand, right, and me and Mark had this conversation before, looking at where the Knicks stand, I mean, you're spending you would spend $40 million next year. You're going to spend the money anyway. Then you would spend it the next year, the year after that. You're not getting Giannis. So, I mean, what's the point? At least you bring somebody in that's going to help you to solidify your culture. I kind of agree with that. And if you're smart and slick with it, you get a 1st-round pick from OKC. So, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. And we'll see what Leon Rose does, unless Leon Rose really has those type of connections that they say where he's going to pull off something, which I doubt. You know what I mean? We'll see.
Yeah, I doubt. But the one trade I don't want to see, I do not want to see DeMar DeRozan in a Knicks uniform.
Oh, hell no. Hell no. Keep that man as far away from the Knicks as possible. Not that I have anything against DeMar DeRozan. I'm just not with it. I ain't with all that.
I just don't think he's good enough. I mean, I just don't think he's good enough. I think he's okay. I think he was in a good system in Toronto, but he's garbage in San Antonio. And I'm sorry if you can't work with Pop.
I feel you. Like, but hey, my man, I appreciate you.
Who can you work for if you can't work for Pop? So I don't know. Have a good night, guys. I just want to, thank you once again for saving us from the doldrums and watching kids 12 hours a day.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. Appreciate it. I do want to remind everybody, man, do me a favor, smash that like button. Hit that like button right now. Smash that like button for me. Also, if you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Ring that notification bell. You'll be notified whenever I go live. Especially, you're going to want to be live. You're going to want to be notified on Sunday, because on Sunday, I'm going to take a look back at the New York Knicks versus the Chicago Bulls in 1994. Actually, it was 1992. I'm sorry. In 1992, Game 6 at the Garden when the Knicks took out the Bulls. They won Game 6 at the Garden. Then they went back to Chicago for Game 7. But we're going to break down the Knicks and Chicago Bulls Game 6. So make sure you check it out. All right, make sure you check it out. It was fun. The last time we did it, we had a good time. We looked at the game a little bit. We talked about it. We watched the game a little bit. We talked about it. So I want to make sure you guys join me on that. Join in and have a good time, man. Call in, ladies and gentlemen, 516-405-2246. I got about 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes left. So if you want to get your call in, make sure you get your call in right now. All right, I have a question for you guys in the chat. I want to ask you guys a question. So somebody, make sure that you're ready. All right. I'm gonna come to Guillermo because it looks like, well, I don't know. I'm gonna come to somebody. Kevin, I'm gonna come to you. I'm gonna start with you, Kev. All right. Hopefully you're ready. Kev, you there? Can you hear me? Kevin. I guess Kevin can't hear me. So, the question that was posed in the YouTube chat, was, who is the best point guard that is also a facilitator and can score? That's a good question. I'm not exactly sure who that is, ladies and gentlemen. That's a good question. Not exactly sure. I have to think about that one a little bit. I'm going to have to think about the guy's name was Will. I'm going to think about it, Will, and I'll get back to you. All right, think about it and I'll get back to you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what these guys, these guys are chopping it up in the chat. You can see him over here having a discussion, a big discussion. You know what I'm saying? Probably going to be hard to get to him. Let me see what Afro Knicks is talking about. Haven't seen him in a while. Afro, what's going on, man? Can you hear me? Nah, these guys are done, ladies and gentlemen. They can't hear me. They're out of there. They're in their own little world right now. So I'm not going to keep trying to come back to them. My voice is already hurting. The Public Enemy said Cassius Winston. What I want you guys to do, man, is make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm about to head up out of here. I can't get to the guys in the chat because they're having a conversation. You know what I'm saying? I finished everything that I wanted to talk about. I have no more calls, so I'm gonna head up out of here. So I want to remind you that Sunday, the Knicks versus the Chicago Bulls. All right, 1992, Game 6 playoffs. We're gonna take a look back. So I want to make sure that you guys join me on there, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So make sure you subscribe to the channel right now. Subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell so you'll be notified when we look at this old classic game. Classic Knicks, ladies and gentlemen. Classic Knicks. All right. Anyway, I'm out. I appreciate you guys for being here. Make sure you're subscribed and all that good stuff. And I'll catch you guys on Sunday. Oh, I do want to say I wanted to do a front stoop tonight, but I got started off kind of late, so I'm not going to do it tonight. But I will be doing a front stoop tomorrow night at 10:30 p.m. So anybody out here that follows the front stoop, I'll be on tomorrow night at 10:30. Remember that, 10:30 p.m. tomorrow night. Look for the notification. All right? But we're just going to talk hip-hop. We're just going to talk hip-hop, society, and life. All right? Tomorrow night. 10:30 p.m. So I'm out of here. MH. Yeah, you heard me, MH. Tomorrow night. I'm going to do it tomorrow night. I got started late with this here, so it's kind of running over. So I'm just going to do it tomorrow night at 10:30. All right. I'm out, ladies and gentlemen. I will catch you guys. Those who are joining me on the front stoop, I'll catch you tomorrow night. And for those who not joining me on the front stoop, I will catch you on Sunday, 10:30 p.m. So we take a look at the Knicks and the Bulls, Game 6, 1992. All right? I'm out of here, ladies and gentlemen. I will catch you guys later. Peace.